A boil order is in effect for a local town.
And the last night of lectureship. Your HU16 News starts now.
Live from the campus of Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas, this is HU16 News, live at 5.
Welcome to HU16 Live at 5. I'm Dylan Johnston.
And I'm Jade Turner. The city of Kensett is under a precautionary boil order after leak repairs on a main water line. City officials say you must boil your water 1 minute before using it because it might not be safe for human consumption. The order will be in effect until the maintenance work is done. The State Transportation Department wants to study an intersection in Beebe after city officials express concerns over danger in the congested area. The intersection is at the Highway 67, 167, 64 interchange that heads into Conway. Mayor Mike Robertson first reached out to the department in 2015 hoping to get a traffic signal installed, but was turned down. After the long wait, the department has agreed to observe the traffic and consider possible changes.
Police are investigating the case of what appears to be mismanaged money within the Arkansas Department of Education. 3 women are under fire for not speaking with the state police, which is looking into the possibility that education funds were used illegally. 21st Century grant funds intended for 2 Bald Knob elementary schools may have been used for personal expenses. Government funding for the schools has since been suspended until officials can iron out what exactly happened. And an Arkansas representative will be appearing in court after being arrested for failing to file taxes. Republican lawmaker Mickey Gates is pleading not guilty to 6 felony counts of tax evasion. Gates was arrested in June after owing the government upwards of $250,000 in taxes, penalties, and interest. He has since then been suspended from the leadership position, but is set to run for re-election in November.
A small Georgia community is trying to come to grips with the sudden death of a high school football player who collapsed during a game and later died. The boys' coach says it's easy to forget just how physically demanding the game is, but Dylan Thomas's death has put further scrutiny on the dangers of playing football. Andy Rose reports.
A devastated Georgia community is mourning the death of 16-year-old junior high school football linebacker Dylan Thomas after he lost consciousness on the sidelines of a game last Friday and died from a brain injury 2 days later. Here's what Dylan's coach had to say Tuesday.
He was coherent, he was talking, yes, coach, I'm fine, just my leg feels a little weird, get me the heck up and get me back to the sideline.
But he wasn't fine. Weber said officials are not sure when or how Dylan was injured in the game, but his parents apparently prepared for their son's safety by purchasing a top-of-the-line helmet by the sports gear brand Riddell. The high school's principal says Thomas was an all-American boy.
Through all of this, we still have a school to run, and supporting kids, loving on them and supporting the family, supporting Dylan's family, honoring his memory. That's our primary focus right now.
The Georgia High School Association released a statement Tuesday on Dylan's death saying there is no indication of any negligent action by anyone associated with Pike County in this incident. The coaches had taken every precaution to prepare for potential injuries and went beyond the required standards when working within the concussion protocol. I'm Andy Rose reporting.
In other news, Arkansas Federal Credit Union members may be the target of a scam. The Financial Institute says it has received several dozen reports of fraudulent calls. These scammers reportedly call and pretend to be from the bank to get your personal information. If you receive a call from someone claiming to be from the bank, hang up and call the bank directly.
President Trump sent a message to the phones of millions of Americans today, but this time it wasn't political. The message was a test of FEMA's nationwide presidential alert system. It's similar to notifications about Amber Alerts and extreme weather. These presidential messages will only be issued in the event of a national emergency. By law, FEMA has to test out its alert systems nationwide every 3 years. And the White House today is defending remarks made yesterday by President Trump. At a rally last night in Mississippi, he criticized the woman who accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. Jeff Cellini has more.
President Trump may have drawn applause while mocking Professor Christine Blasey Ford at a campaign rally last night.
How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know.
But today, 3 key Republican senators whose votes will decide the fate of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh weren't laughing. Senator Jeff Flake called it appalling.
There's no time or place but particularly to discuss something so sensitive at a political rally was just wrong.
Senator Susan Collins, equally blunt.
The president's comments were just plain wrong.
And Senator Lisa Murkowski said the remarks were wholly inappropriate and unacceptable. At a rare White House briefing today, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders insisted the president wasn't mocking Ford.
It wasn't anything other than the president stating facts.
But she could not reconcile how the president's tone went from this last Friday.
I thought her testimony was very compelling, and she looks like a very fine woman to me. Very fine woman.
To this last night, when he belittled that very fine woman and showed empathy for men only.
A man's life is in tatters. A man's life is shattered.
Dispute that
Sanders said Kavanaugh and Ford are both victims and pointed the finger squarely at Democrats who opposed Kavanaugh's confirmation to the court.
Certainly, the testimony by Dr. Ford was compelling, but you can't make this decision based on emotion. It has to be based on fact.
But the debate on Capitol Hill and across the country is steeped in emotion, which is precisely what the president was also stoking 34 days before the midterm elections. He's standing by Kavanaugh but leaving the door open to distance himself, perhaps if the votes ultimately fall short.
I met him for the first time a few weeks ago. I don't even know him. So it's not like, oh, gee, I want to protect my friend.
The FBI is expected to complete their investigation later this week. And after that, the Senate Judiciary Committee is expected to vote on whether to approve Kavanaugh's nomination and send it to the full Senate for consideration. A bald-gnawed man is arrested for failing to report. 22-year-old Kyle Gore pleaded guilty in White County Circuit Court to the Class C felony. Gore is a Level 2 sex offender and is required to report where he lives. By failing to inform the law enforcement of his address change, he violated the probation policy and will spend the next 2 years in the state prison.
A crucial kitchen or dorm room appliance used by millions of people every day may be zapping the nutrients out of your food. Experts say your microwave may be draining your food out of its nutrients. The two main factors of nutrient loss are high temperatures and cooking in liquid. So the more water you're cooking with, the more nutrients you're losing. Experts say any type of cooking will strip foods of some nutrients, and microwaving actually results in a very minimal loss of health benefits. Today is the last day of Harding's 95th lectureship series. Students, alumni, and friends from all over the country have come to Searcy to be a part of the Bible classes and worship services. The theme this year, Written in Stone, an Enduring Value of the Ten Commandments, featured a distinguishing panel of speakers. The final keynote speaker, Dr. Bill Davis, gave a preview of his presentation in this morning's chapel.
Everybody needs a little KFC. Everybody needs a little kindness to be bestowed upon them. Everybody needs a little forgiveness. And everybody needs a little compassion.
Tonight's events will start at 6:30 in the Benson Auditorium with a performance by the Harding University Chorus. The keynote lecture will start at 7.
It's officially Manufacturing Week here in Searcy. Mayor David Morris has signed a proclamation recognizing manufacturing industries within the state. Arkansas employs over 100,000 workers to generate over $17 billion in industrial revenue. A big thanks to Searcy industrial workers for their generous contributions to the economy. The city of Judsonia is doing something very special. They are building a monument in honor of the city's veterans and soldiers. The city has already raised over $25,000 for the monument and preparing construction plans. The city plans on dedicating the monument, which will hold over 300 names, in the city park on November 10th, the day before Veterans Day.
Downtown Searcy is bursting with art. The Natural Notes Quattlebaum music mural dedication will be at 5:30 p.m. on Friday. You're invited to swing by Quattlebaum after work for some music and presentation. The mural is part of a bigger operation sparked by one of the businesses in downtown, Think Studios.
Important to our community just in bringing people together, and it highlights diverse styles. That's something that I'm really excited about about the Think Project in general. Is just having all the different artists involved and being able to go one to the next and see the different styles, how diverse they are, and just bringing in little bits of history of our community that people don't know. Maybe it's not a very literal type design, but it's just a story that people can really get behind. It's also an economic draw, and when tourists are coming in and different things, maybe to see these, and so bringing them downtown, maybe it's even locals that haven't been to these businesses or haven't been downtown lately. So just bringing them in and just a gathering place for people, I think art inspires that.
Again, the dedication is Friday at 5:30, and immediately afterwards, organizers will launch the first Friday Art Walk. ASUBB is getting ready to welcome the famed improv group, The Second City. The Second City will be performing their most popular songs and sketches made famous by the veterans such as Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and Steve Carell. The event is at the Owen Center Theater Auditorium at 6 p.m. Tuesday, October 9th. General admission is $10, and you can purchase tickets online at asub.ticketleap.com.
Later in the show, there is a new state champ. Jackson Duncan will tell us who that is and who he plays for.
But Maddie Coy is next with your weather.
After the break, we'll take a look at the rain in the forecast. Stay tuned.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
When I was 6, I had one thing on my mind. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball every chance I could. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to learn the signs of a stroke fast. F-A-S-T.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke. F-A-S-T. Fast.
I never felt all that special. But in the wake of an earthquake, we can all do something. When donating goods, it's
Welcome back to HU16 News. I'm Maddie Coy. It's been a fairly warm day here today. Right now it's 88 degrees, mostly clear and sunshiny, but thanks to our humidity and our heat index, it does feel more like 95 degrees, so it feels pretty warm outside. The air is pretty stagnant. We have a little bit of a breeze at 4 miles per hour, but as the afternoon has gone on, that breeze has pretty much died out and it feels pretty stuffy, and we can expect that trend to continue over the next few days as we look out across our forecast. Looking across the state, it's been pretty much the same as it was here in Searcy. Sunshiny and warm across the whole state. As you can see here, it got down in the 90s in Monticello and Jonesboro there, but sunshiny all across the state. Looking out at today's surface map, you can see no rain to be worried about. We have a high pressure system that's in control right now. There is a low front up there. It's creeping its way down. Hopefully that'll bring some cooler temperatures as we move on into the next couple weeks or so. But as of right now, we have to deal with this high pressure system and all of the sunshine. Tonight we can expect mostly clear skies with a low of 70, so we're going to cool off a little bit. Not too cold though, warmer than we have been seeing, but it should be nice if you're out this evening. Looking at tomorrow, we can expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 88 degrees, so it's going to be warm again. Our heat index is probably going to be up there 90, 91, 92, so it's going to feel rather warm tomorrow as well. If we look out across tomorrow's map, you can see there's that high system still in control. We're in the bracket for no precipitation. That low is still up there, just hovering, not making its way down anytime soon. So it looks like for now, We're going to have to put up with this warmer weather. Looking at tomorrow's highs across the state, it's going to feel pretty warm tomorrow. 89 in Searcy, 89 in Jonesboro, and then 90 in Little Rock. And as you can see, we're in the low 90s in the southern portion of the state. 92 in Camden, 91 in Monticello. So it's pretty warm. Definitely doesn't feel like a fall day, but it shouldn't be too terribly bad. At least it's not 95 or 100 as we have been seeing. Looking at over the next 5 days, we can see tomorrow mostly sunny skies, a high of 88. On Friday, we can expect mostly sunny skies again, a high of 89 or maybe 90s, getting up there a little bit. Our temperatures are going to kind of plateau about 86 or so as we move into the weekend. We have a 20% chance of rain on Saturday and Sunday as we see there. So that system is probably going to move down in over the weekend, bring a little bit of rain with it. Our temperatures are going to stay fairly consistent in the upper 80s until Columbus Day, which is next Monday. We're going to go back down to 84 with a low of 66. Once again, our chance of storms is going to remain about 20% throughout the weekend, so fairly low, but just something to keep in mind there as we move throughout our weekend. That's all I have. Back to the desk with Dylan and Jade.
Thanks, Maddie. Coming up, the president of the Roosevelt Institute is in the studio.
We'll be right back.
I wish I was in school.
If only I had a math test today.
I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard.
I wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come. And tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
The earthquakes you see in movies are one thing, but real life is a completely different animal. Just because you can't predict an earthquake doesn't mean that you can't prepare for one. In the event of a real earthquake, you should drop, cover, and hold on. Visit ready.gov/earthquake and practice what to do to keep you and your family safe in the event of a real earthquake. And you'll be seen as a hero by your family and your loved ones.
Visit ready.gov/earthquake today.
Thanks for tuning back in. I'm here with a special guest, the president of the Roosevelt Institute, Cade Newton. Thanks for being on the show today. And dude, that is a nice shirt, man.
The pleasure is all mine, and you're too flattered.
All right, man. So let's get right into this. You know, what is the Roosevelt Institute?
So the Roosevelt Institute, I'm glad you asked, is a policymaking organization on campus that works to further dialogue on things that we don't think are talked about enough and change rules that we don't like.
Well, that sounds like a very good cause for that institute that you're president of. Also, what is a way that others can get involved in this?
Well, if you want to get involved with the Roosevelt Institute, send an email to hardingroosevelt@gmail.com or to my email, anewton2@harding.edu, and you'll be added to the email list, and you'll learn all about our meetings, which are every Wednesday at 6. And then from our meetings and from the email list, you'll also know about any Roosevelt events that go on.
That sounds great, man. And I hear that y'all have an event coming up tomorrow afternoon or so. What's that going to look like?
You've heard right. And maybe 111 tomorrow at 4. There's going to be a panel on political correctness with Dr. Keith Carpenter and Professor Max Sandlin. And it is not going to be one to miss.
All right, man. And I'm going to ask you this. For our viewers, what other panels do you have planned coming up this year?
Well, in an HU16 exclusive, we're having another panel on protest that's going to follow this panel on political correctness later in the semester. Location is TBA, time is TBA, but if you go to the panel tomorrow, there may be some more info.
That sounds great, man. And I just have one last thing. What can people do to, or how can they pitch in on like ideas about who will be on the panel? Is that something that the Institute covers itself, or can viewers pitch in on who they'd like to see on that?
Yeah, so actually all of our panelists are decided in our meetings. It's a very democratic organization. I have very few authoritarian tendencies with Roosevelt. So if you go to the meetings, then you have as much say as anyone else.
Well, it seems like a great institute, and it seems like the best way to get involved with this is to show up to the panel, show up to the meetings, and to send those emails out to the Institute. Now, that's all we have today. Let's go ahead and send it over to Jackson Duncan with your latest sports. What's it looking like, Jackson?
Thanks, Dylan. Coming up, an update on yesterday's soccer matches, and a Harding Academy golfer takes home some hardware. And finally, we'll look at the coolest thing I saw, all coming up after the break.
It's okay to be scared. You don't have to be so strong.
Strength is not optional. This is my mother, my purpose. Real muscle is lifting her spirits between bedpans and bad news from doctors that doubt her strength. Strength is buried in bills, managing meds, and swallowing those moments of, Mom, it's me, your daughter. Remember? My strength is super, but I'm still human, right?
Look who's here. There she is. Thanks for your patience.
How you feel?
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 1-877-333-5885.
Sir, could you step over here, please? Is there anything you want to tell me?
Like what?
Like maybe you're out to protect the environment?
Give scholarships to kids?
Fight blindness? Help the elderly? Feed the hungry? Well, I only asked because you got a little lion in you.
See? Right there.
Right next to whatever that other thing is.
This new dad is picturing a tree house in the sky, but he's ignoring the instructions. Good luck, big guy. His kids know that he's building without a clue. Never been so good with nails and glue. Now we're trapped inside a box. I hope Mom knows what to do. Mom! Mom! See, you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Live at 5 Sports. I'm Jackson Duncan. Though they did not win their third consecutive state championship, Harding Academy's Max Master won the 3A individual state golf title. Senior Max Master shot a 73 on the course and was the lone Wildcat to take home first place hardware. The team finished in third, 14 strokes behind Baptist Prep's winning score of 235, and Coach Caleb Hall says he's disappointed at the team's third place finish, but he is proud of the composure Master showed throughout the match and are happy he is a state champion. And moving over from Wildcat to Bison sports action, both the men and women's tennis teams kicked off their seasons over the weekend in the ITA Central Region Championships hosted by the University of Central Oklahoma. The women's team won 60% of their matches, going 18-12 in singles and 6-4 in doubles. And on the men's side, Morgan Sylvan, Luis Torrado, and Diego Perola all won their round of 64 singles matches, but the one standout player for the Bisons actually lost in round one. The player that is freshman Alvaro de Lorenzo from Spain, who lost in round one but went on to win 5 consecutive matches in the consolation bracket, taking home the championship. The Bison's final event of the fall season is coming up in 2 weeks, October 19th and 20th at the GAC Individual Tennis Tournament in Russellville, Arkansas. And switching over to soccer, both the men and women's soccer teams competed yesterday against GAC opponent Ouachita Baptist, with the men on the road and the women at home. The men's team is now 1-2 in conference play after their 4-1 loss to OBU yesterday. But the women's team, on the other hand, dominated the OBU dominated OBU, yesterday 6-1, with the Lady Bison scoring 3 goals in both halves and had 5 different goal scorers on the game. Junior forward Amelia Grizel netted her first goal of the season and was Harding's leading scorer of the game with 2 goals. The Lady Bisons are now 3-2 in conference play and have 7 more conference matchups this month to finish the regular season. And going over to golf, the men's team saved their best for last in the final round of the Battle for the Belt golf tournament in Hot Springs. The Bison shot a .291 as a team yesterday in the final round, with freshman Ryan Camross having the best score in the round, shooting 3 under par. Sophomore Trevor Mellett had the top overall score for the Bisons, shooting 1 over par on the 3-round course. The Bisons finished in a 3-way tie for 12th place in the tournament, featuring 17 teams, and this was their worst finish of the season. And finally, we'll take a look at the coolest thing I saw. You may be wondering why we're talking about the NBA preseason, but it's impossible to ignore when the best basketball player in the world is wearing new colors. LeBron James has traded in the ketchup and mustard Cavaliers look for the royal purple and gold of the LA Lakers. Although he's moved to the flashy lights of LA, he is still doing what he does best, throwing down monster dunks and swishing threes from downtown. The Lakers have 4 preseason games remaining and start their highly anticipated regular season on the road 2 weeks from tomorrow in Portland. And that's all I have for sports, but remember, you can keep up with all the Harding sports action on hardingsports.com. Now we'll take it back to the desk with Dylan and Jade.
Thanks, Jackson. Up next, the discovery that brought 2 siblings together.
We'll be right back.
And the world will soon be ours.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Ma.
In your new role, we help you help. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who once took care of you.
One lives in Oklahoma, the other in Texas. 2 women had no clue they were sisters until just a few weeks ago, thanks to DNA testing. Paris Jones reports.
Paula Parkhurst has owned and operated her own pumpkin patch for over a decade, but she always felt something was missing.
Over the years, never found any trace of any blood family.
Paula says after using Ancestry.com, she had a match for someone who could be her cousin.
I contacted her. I think I might be related to you. Would you be interested in talking to me? I think I might be your first cousin.
Paula got a response within a few hours.
I said, I am not your cousin, I'm your sister.
The 2 finally meeting face to face this summer.
But I knew the minute I saw her that we were blood related.
Yeah.
There was no question. DNA, I didn't need DNA to tell me.
And it wasn't long after Paula and Jackie met that they started working together here at the pumpkin patch, even coming up with new ideas for the gift shop.
Jars of jams and relishes and salsas and pumpkin soup and more quilt squares, all family recipes that I didn't know about.
Jackie says she drives from Texas every now and then to help out around the pumpkin patch.
Just to work with you.
Yes.
And to do something together is exciting.
Thank you for joining us for HU16's Live at 5, where community matters.
And remember, you can always tune in to HU16 News at the link at streaming.harding.edu. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Have a great evening.